Third straight week with a good Raw. New tag team champions. Controversial ending. This is this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. The show kicked off with Adam Pearce addressing Seth Rollins' injury and the World Heavyweight Championship #1 contender match. And the Vision interrupts, and Pearce asks Braun to return the World Heavyweight Championship to him. Then Braun Breaker told him to say please and put some respect on his name. Pearce says it's please, and then Braun handed the World Heavyweight Championship to Paul Heyman, which then he handed off to Pearce while Braun was smirking and laughing. Then the GOAT stepped on the mic, Paul Heyman, and then he asked the crowd why are they booing him. And while Paul was premium gaslighting them, he told the crowd how he used Seth after WrestleMania just to get closer to Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And he told the whole WWE universe how they are the future of this business and the company and future WrestleMania main eventers. Then it was this backstage segment with the Judgment Day. Finn and JD was tight because Dom ultimately threw him under the bus and been an L-Mans by telling Pearce how he had to defend his championship every week, but Finn and JD doesn't. Then Pearce booked a match and made it official. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Finn Balor and JD McDonough. It was a phenomenal match, no pun intended. And Dragon Lee and AJ Styles picked up the dub. And also, I can't be the only one that thinks this, that WWE is poorly booking AJ Styles. And since next year is his whole retirement tour, I don't want that dude being the tag team championship and mid-card. Like, there's no reason he should have been fighting Bravo and Joint. Like, come on, bro. He should be in a main event scene. And yes, I'm a huge AJ Styles fan, but let's be real. He definitely should be booked like a CM Punk, how he's at his old age and just like that star. Because I think he's older than Punk anyway. But I would love to see him just to go out one last time with the World Heavyweight Championship. Or even if he renewed a rivalry with Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, and then they need to redo this one, low-key at the Mania too. Shinsuke and AJ. That would have been a baller match, just like their match in New Japan a few years back. Then backstage, the Usos was chatting it up. They just checking on Jim if they were cool. And Jim said how in the Battle Royale, it's every man for themselves. Then Jim saying, yeah, we good. Then the next match was the rematch for the IC title. Rusev pretty much for the whole match just dominated Dom low-key. The key moment is when Dom was going outside and Penta had stopped Dom from leaving. Then Rusev had punched Penta. Rusev was distracted with Penta. Dom went to the timekeeper's area, stole a hammer and put it in his boot. Dom was lining up Rusev for the 619 in the ring. Rusev caught him, saw the hammer, and was about to use it until the ref actually stopped Rusev. That's when Dom low-blowed Rusev and picked up the dub. Dom, I know Ray and Eddie was best friends and like best friends, but Dom is kind of like this modern-day Eddie Guerrero, and I like the way he just gets creative and cheats for the dub. Then was this promo package with the Kabuki Warriors, ultimately saying how they injured Rhea, and now they're gunning for the women's tag team championships now. And the next match on the card was Maxine versus Becky. And low-key, if I was Maxine, I'll feel let down or if I feel some type of way because she's from Sacramento. That's where Raw was, and the crowd didn't even pop for her. But the match was pretty solid, honestly. In ring-wise, it was cool, but I can definitely see Maxine getting better slowly but surely. That's when Becky disqualified herself by hitting Maxine with the title, and that's when Becky disqualified herself and hit Maxine with the IC title. But therefore, Maxine won the match. But then after the match got attacked by Becky. It was Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman, and they had a little conversation. Low-key was funny. Then Pearce told Heyman how he took Bebop and Rocksteady out of the #1 contender Battle Royale match later in the night. Paul was questioning why he took them out of the match and wanted them back in the match. But then this when the funny part happened. But then Pearce actually said, all right then, I'll do it. But you guys say please. Then Heyman said please, but then Pearce played him and didn't even put them in the match afterwards. But then that's when Becky pulled up. Heyman was ultimately trying to trick Becky and gaslight her from his mistakes, so-called, he said he did to Seth last week. Man, Becky wasn't having that. She knew Heyman was eventually going to turn on him and how Seth has a plan to get Heyman right after he returns. And it was Stephanie Valkyrie versus Roxanne. It was a great match and all, but then as y'all know, the crowd just wasn't it, man. Stephanie won the match, but then later was attacked by Raquel and Roxanne right after the match. But then Nikki Bella showed up and actually helped her and aided her in the brawl that was happening. Then backstage, Nikki had told Stephanie how she had her back and all, and being world champ, that doesn't mean you really have friends. Then there was this backstage segment with Lyra and Adam Pearce in the beginning until Bayley interrupted them. And Lyra wasn't really sure, and she was worried about what version of Bayley she was about to talk to. Then Bayley said, don't worry. She has a surprise for her next week since her birthday was coming up. See, for me, after the whole triple threat match at Evolution, it's like the pairing with Lyra and Bayley kind of been like iffy a little bit, because for me, it's more of the Bayley side because I'm not really the fan of the whole two-split personality of her. That's just me. The next was the talk with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman. And honestly, Paul dropped some gospel on him. Braun was pretty much confused about how the night was going because he walked in as the champ, and now having the champ stripped away from him, didn't really know how things were going. But then that's when Paul Heyman walked in and said, just trust the process. It was ultimately telling him how eventually, if you just trust the process, he'll get both of them to superstardom because he helped people like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk to get to that level where they're at today. He told him to look in the mirror, and he said, yeah, now that's the future. And also, hands down, Paul Heyman is the GOAT of being a manager. I know he doesn't like being called a manager, but that's pretty much what he is. But easily, nobody can touch him. In the main event, the #1 contender battle royale match. The whole match, I was rooting for AJ, but then there was some cool moments in there, like Kofi, when he actually got dropped, he had gas for air, and bro, it sounds bad, but if you look back at the clip, it was hilarious. Me and my brother was laughing in the living room and all. Key moment is when Jay actually saw LA Knight and Jimmy Uso tangle up in the ropes, and then that's when he actually had strike and eliminate both of them. And Jim was furious, bro. Like, he already was saying how Jay is like Roman. Then it was the final two. It was Dom and Jay. And like 95% of the people, we did not want Jay to win. Because Jay as a singles competitor is not it. He has the yeet. I'm a big Jay fan now. But he has the yeet. He has everything but that in-ring skill and the promo. The promos just kind of fall flat. In-ring is nothing to talk about. But then he eliminates Dom to actually be the #1 contender at Saturday night's main event against CM Punk. But I will say, though, I do like how the main event scene is different now because Seth is injured. I didn't want him to get injured by no means. I like the change because it's like we're getting a different champion. It's like Seth had a short reign, low-key. It was a great Monday Night Raw. I loved everything. I loved the moments and things like that. But like I kept saying, the crowd just wasn't it for me, man. But as always, thank you for watching. And remember, the story never ends. So I'll see you in the next one.